Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and being patient with my technical skills or lack thereof. I'm Lauren. I'm one of the project leads for SynapseCarers alongside Megan Baker, who's up in Port Macquarie, hosting a hub up there. Hopefully the people joining us online can hear me clearly. I will be monitoring the chat, so you can let us know if you're having any issues through the chat, and I'll do my absolute best to fix things with all of my technical know-how. So this is the second of our SynapseCarers information and support sessions. As I said at the start of the last one, Megan and I, we wanted to develop a program that would support carers of individuals with brain injury, knowing how challenging it is to support a person with such a complex, invisible disability. And we knew that the better supported our carers are, the better support there is for the person being cared for as well. So the better the outcomes for the carer, the better the outcomes for the person being cared for. So it's a win-win. We put our feelers out there and asked for some suggestions and advice on what it was that our carers wanted to hear about and who they wanted to hear from. And overwhelmingly, the response was that carers wanted to hear not from experts, but from other carers, people who'd lived it, breathed it, and knew what they were talking about and that you could relate to. And we also found out that some of the major topics that people wanted to hear about were self-care, mental health issues. We also had the NDIA, the big elephant in the room. That was another big one. So our next session is on the NDIA. And we also have a few sessions coming up on future planning for the future when you're no longer able to care for the person you're currently caring for. However, today our focus is on caring for yourselves as a carer of someone. And we are absolutely privileged and blessed to have with us Lars Weber, who is himself a carer of a young person with brain injury. And he's also the developer of a program all about self-care for time-poor carers. So making mindfulness happen is the topic of today's presentation. And Lars is going to bring his wealth of personal and professional experience to talk to us today about self-care for carers. So welcome, Lars. Lovely to have you here, and I'll give you this now.
Okay, I'll put on this beautiful piece of jewelry, so I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning, everyone. Great to see you could make it. Great to hear that people are online. They are watching us. It's my pleasure to be here. Being a carer myself, I find it very rewarding to be able to make a contribution myself. And also I'd like to take that opportunity to thank Lauren and her team to put all this together. I know it's very early in the pieces, but it looks very promising to me. So how do you feel being here? Have you had a good morning thus far? Good, good. Did you experience anything beautiful this morning already? Yes, I can see a smile there. Yes and no. Tell us about it. Walking to work. Okay, good, good. Isn't it amazing that we have so often in our daily routine the opportunity to experience something beautiful if we are open for it? And experiencing something beautiful is one of the things that make life good. Yeah. So I believe it's very important to be open for it, and this is, part of what we'll be talking about today. I'd like to share a little experience I had recently. I went the other day to a parent evening of my son's school. My son is 16 years old. He's got brain damage. And among others, he is blind, totally blind, absolutely no perception of light. And his class, I ended up talking to the geography teacher, and she told me that they have been exploring the little town of Virunga. That's where his school is. And all his mates from school, they went through the township and they figured out where was what and how far, how many steps it was from one place to another place and which shop was where. And they mapped the entire village out. And at the end of that period of a few weeks where they've done this, the teacher asked the pupils what they learned to get a check-in. And she asked my son, Luca is his name, she said, "So Luca, when you come to Virunga, how do you know you are in Virunga?" And my son was thinking for a little moment, and he said, "I can smell the flowers." Isn't that a beautiful story? It's just a story about mindfulness, yeah, a story about being in the moment. And certainly, when you can't see anything, you are so much more alert, and you engage your other senses so much more that you become aware of some of the little things which just pass us by. Anyway, we'll come to talk to more about it. Let me just quickly ask you to switch your telephones off. That would be nice, because that'll be somewhat distracting if they go off. A little bit about myself. As you already know, I am a carer for my son. Have been for 16 years. From a Having said that, I don't know what your story is or anyone else's story out there. Everyone's story is different, and by no means do I want to give the impression I know where you're coming from. I don't. But I know you do have challenges, as most carers do have, and I firmly believe, we can deal with these challenges, and we can make our life better as they are right now. So as a person, I'm just the average bloke of the neighborhood. I have a beautiful wife and two beautiful children. One of them is Luca. And when I'm lucky enough to live close enough to the beach that I can get there with a push bike. And I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. Ocean is the source of sanity and mindfulness for me. And those of you who have been on my website, you have figured that out probably already. So that's one of my passions. In my business life, I lecture, I teach, I facilitate workshops, I coach in the field of leadership and management. And part of that area is personal development. So a lot of the things we'll be talking about today, and which I talk about in my complete course, are very much related there. So I figured out over a period of time that I have so much knowledge and experience, which is not the answer to the world, but it's worth sharing. And by talking to other carers, I noticed that we all have experiences that are worth sharing. We all have so much to learn from each other, which no scientist can teach us, because they haven't been where we have been. And as a result, I founded Better Life for Carers. That's a new thing for me. It's very small right now, but I can see it growing. The demand seems to be rather big, and my flagship service is a 6 to 8 week workshop where carers actually come in a room and they share their experiences, and they work out how to make life better given the circumstances, how to make changes in life. And we'll be talking about making internal changes as much as external changes. So that is what Better Life for Carers is all about. So today I'd like to talk just about self-care in general and point out how important it is, particularly for people who tend to exhaust themselves with caring for other people. They need to make sure that they care for themselves as well. I'd like to talk about the role of mindfulness in our life and what mindfulness actually is, explore that a little bit, and then explore with you, what might be practical ways of practicing mindfulness, given how busy we are. So that's really the focus of today. So before I get started, a word of wisdom. That's one of my background. I studied for 4 years part-time philosophy and taking a lot out of that as well. So very practically oriented philosophy. And there's a saying from the old Greek, and it probably comes from Socrates. No one is really sure about it. That says, don't reject, don't accept, but consider, or put it to the test. So what this is saying really is, if someone says something to you or brings an argument towards you, you tend to want to match what that person is saying with your mindset, with your paradigm, with your idea of what is right and what is wrong. And there is a temptation there to judge what people say straight away. Does that fit into my way of thinking or not? And if it doesn't, we reject it. And if it does, we don't further reflect about it, we just accept it. And I believe it's, what this is confirming, it is really important to consider what people are saying. Don't judge what people are saying. Just be prepared to open your paradigms, to open your mindset and give it a go. It's a little bit like when your child says to you, I don't like broccoli, but they have never ever tried broccoli. So you want to ask it, consider, eat a bit of broccoli. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't need to eat broccoli anymore. Yeah. But don't tell me you won't eat broccoli before you have even tried it. So that is what this is about. So keep your mind open. Caring for yourself is one of the big issues that some people face in the carers world. We tend to care so much for other people that there is no time left to care for ourselves. Tell me something you do to care for yourself, for example. Okay, good. So, yeah. Going for a walk is a great opportunity to be mindful too. Yeah, it just leave everything behind, just go for a walk. Yes, exactly. But observe what's around you. Yeah. Any other ideas for mindfulness or for self-care that you do, looking after yourself? Okay, good. So that's relaxing, no doubt about it. Yeah, and it can regenerate your energy. Yeah, and particularly if you watch something that is inspiring, it can be very, very positive. Yeah, it just depends probably on which channels you hover around. Sorry. Okay, I will. So, sorry. Okay, I'm just getting some feedback here. People online can't hear what you're saying, so it has been said here. Yeah, going for walks and watching films or videos, and certainly that can be a very very good thing to do to regenerate. We need to regenerate. For me, it's swimming in the ocean. I swim long distances in the ocean, right out there, and I've just read a quote the other day where someone said, "Civilization ends at the waterline," and it feels so right. Yeah, once you're in there, you leave the world behind. If you're swimming out there in the ocean and you get into the routine, it's like meditation. It's beautiful. Yeah. So we all need to do something. We need to look after ourselves in various areas of life. And should we mention that people online have the possibility of downloading a PDF file, is that right? With the slides I'm going through. I wasn't aware that this is the case, so I haven't numbered the slides, but I'm at the slide Balancing Life, the first one of it. And what you can see there is various areas in life where you need to balance on, where you need to work on in order to create a balance. On the top there, I have family. It's very important for us to look after our family. Our family is our ultimate support in life. Caring for loved ones, it's one thing we want to do. We do it, and we need to create the time for it. We need to look after our social life and our networks. We need to connect with other people. We are social beings. We need it. We need it for support. Mental and education. You need to keep stimulating yourself, learning something new. Many of you who have family members who you care for have probably done a lot of studies about the challenges that the person has that you are caring for. So that's mental stimulation and education, but also you need to I guess need to put a limit to the videos and films you see, but also get mentally stimulated. Work and home, most of us have to somehow generate some sort of income to pay the bills. Yeah, this is something we need and to look after as well, and it forms part of that balance of life that we need to find. Physical and health, so easy to neglect. Yeah, it is. We're too busy to physically exercise. And there are some good guidelines out there that tell you, that you need to have a minimum of minutes, if not hours, every day that you need to do in order to look after yourself. The point is, if you don't look after your health and your fitness, you won't be able to look after the person who you're looking for after. Yeah. Spiritual, that's an interesting one. When I say spiritual, often people think religion. I don't think you need to be religious in order to be spiritual. As a matter of fact, I know a fair few people who are religious, and I wonder whether they are spiritual. Yeah, and spirituality is really about your connectiveness to yourself and to the world around you, to your immediate world around you, to your local community, to your Australian community, realizing that you are a citizen of this planet and realizing that this planet is part of this universe. This is what, to me, spirituality is about. And there may be other things that are really important. Now, I can hear people thinking when I put this forward, you got to be kidding. I can't do all this. The reality is, and that's the next slide, is that the majority of time I spend is looking after the person I'm looking for. Yeah, that consumes a lot of time and also a lot of mental space to look after that person. So the challenge here is to still find the balance. And today I'd like to look after specifically the spirituality aspect of it, which mindfulness really finds its way in. So I hear people, they don't have time to balance their life. They don't have time to go to the gym. They don't have time to cook good meals. They don't have time to do what they need to do to find the balance in life. Now, there's some bad news. We only have 168 hours every week. It's one of the resources that are given to every human being on this planet equally, one of the very, very few. We all have 168 hours, no matter how much money you have, how much influence you have, we all have that amount of money. Now, that is some good news too, though. We do actually have 168 hours per week. So the question is, how are you spending these? And taking as much control as you possibly can on how you spend these hours. Going on to the next slide, consider this cartoon. Imagine you are at the front there, pulling that cart along with that square wheel on it. There's lots of opportunities there to get hold of round wheels. Yeah. Synapse is one of them. You know, they offer support. They help you. They help you to make life easier. It's important to just stop sometime in order to pick up again. You know, some people talk about sharpening the saw. You know, if you cut a tree and it's really hard work, instead of working with a blunt saw, stop, sharpen the saw and keep going. And this is really, again, part of what Better Life for Carers is about. It's about stopping and sharpening your saw and putting round wheels on your cart. Now, I'd like to come towards mindfulness and exploring a little bit what mindfulness is all about. And so that's the next slide for those people online. If you imagine you have a timeline. On one end, you have the future, and on the other end, you have the past. And right in the middle, it's a very, very fine point only, you have the present. Everything that is not present is either future or past. Now, when our mind wanders off to the past, or it wanders off to the future, which we often do, what happens is we tend to be either rather scattered all over the place. We may think about, if our mind goes to the future, we may think, I must not forget to buy some milk today before I go home. And I have this presentation coming up. I need to prepare some of these things, and all these things that I need to do, but also those things that you anticipate to happen. At the same time, if you go back to the future with your mind is on some past experiences. Again, it gets scattered all over. We go from one thing to the next. Alternatively, our mind can be captured in the past or in the future. Something happened in the past that really captures your mind. You can't let go of it. Say you're leaving the home in the morning, you're having an argument with your child or the person you're caring for, and you say something nasty because you're really angry, and you've got to run out of the door because your train is leaving. And you're thinking about, in the train, you're thinking about, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You feel sorry about it. But it's nothing you can do about right now because you can't talk to that person anymore. Chances are that that experience will capture your mind all day long. Another one, maybe you have something important coming up. Say you need to give a presentation at work or in some other environment. And you keep thinking about, how do I do this? Oh no, I'll change this one around. No, I need to do this. I had that experience a little bit of putting Better Life for Carers together. So much thought, and it really captured my mind for the future. So you really want further in the past, when our mind is in the past, it also is revolving around anger, regret, grief, resentment, and unforgiveness. This bastard who has done something to me in the past, and we can't let go of it. It just or anger. If we are angry, it is usually about the past, something that has happened that really angers us. It may be in the far past, it may be just a minute ago, but when we're angry, we tend to be in the past. When we are in the future, we tend to develop fear. Fear is not about the past. We don't fear about what happened in the past because that's gone. We fear about what's happening in the future, and we're getting that anxiety. When we feel hopelessness, we think about the future. It's just I don't see hope. Anything in the future is going to happen for me. That's good. So worry, desire. And desire can be a very stressful experience. You really want something. We want it in the future. Yes. 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 The suggestion has been made here that fear is something unreal. So it's actually nothing that's happening. It's something that could happen maybe in the future. And if it does happen in the future, then it's in the present in the future. But right now, it's not real. It's not here. So hang on. If we can manage to put our mind into the present, we can actually let go of all that fear, anxiety, hopelessness, worry, and desire, and we can let go of that anger, the regret, the grief we hold, the resentments we hold, and this unforgiveness that can consume enormous energies. Love, beauty, contentment, creativity are all experiences that we cannot have in either the future or the past. We can only have it in the here and now. That's the only time where this is possible. And this is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is about being right at that present point. And it enables us to experience those beautiful things. And it enables us to experience love. We can't experience love from the past. Okay, we know we have been loved or we have been loving in the past. But the experience of love is what counts, and we can have that only right here, right now, at the present. Does that make sense? Good. So love, beauty, contentment, creativity is just, some of these aspects that make a good life. If you have these, that improves your life. If you don't have these, if you are permanently in the future or in the past, you miss out on these ones. Okay. So being mindful really is about being here right now at this moment and being open to what is rather than what was or what could be. Once again, here, love, beauty, contentment, and creativity are some of the key experiences that are really important in life that we can experience when we are mindful. Yes, yes, self-love is included. It is love for others and love for yourself. This is a picture of, near where I live. This is actually DY, and I went there the other day, just strolling along the beach with my wife, and I noticed. You see in the front of the picture there, it's not very clear in that picture here. You see there is very shallow water, and that water is full of life. There's little crabs running around. There's little schools of fish swimming around. Amazing to watch this school of tiny little fish, how all of a sudden, as if someone says, let's go right, and everyone goes right, and they don't bump into each other. Fascinating to watch. Now, this is happening all the time, but you won't notice it if you're not mindful, if you're not in the present. Something else worth noting is the 5 levels of awareness that we have. So we're starting off with deep sleep. We are totally unaware when we are in deep sleep. We are unconscious, really. We are not aware that we do exist in deep sleep. And the next step up is dreaming. Dreaming is, getting towards waking up, and we have experiences in our dreams. So there is some kind of level of consciousness there, some kind of awareness, but it's not very much. We can be fully awake. That means we are alert as to what's happening around us, and we can enter a higher level of consciousness where we actually see ourselves within that environment. Usually a state of mind which we attain through meditation. That's the most common way. But you don't have to meditate in order to get there. But that's probably a very efficient way of doing it. Now, there's one level missing here, and that's the one in the middle, waking sleep. Waking sleep is when you sit in your car or in the train and you travel from your home to your workplace, takes you maybe half an hour or so, and you arrive in your workplace and someone asks you, what actually happened in the last hour? Tell me more about it. And you wouldn't have a clue because your mind was not in the present. It was in the past or in the future. So that's a dangerous or a state of mind, waking sleep, that is very worth learning to be aware of. Oops, I'm waking, sleeping here at the moment. It's just you do all the right things. Driving a car, all the things you do when you drive a car. There's so many things you do. And you observe the traffic and other cars and stuff, and you don't notice it because you're in waking sleep state. Particularly if it's in the mornings, if you haven't been sleeping a long time ago. So be aware of, where are you in terms of those levels of awareness. I'm moving on to the next slide. There is a person and a dog going for a walk. And what often happens when you go for a walk, what goes through the mind of the person is something like that. And I'm sorry for those people online, they can't see what's in there. I'll just quickly describe it. So there's a thought bubble coming out of that person who is walking along there, and it's full of, let's call it stuff. There's a mobile phone, there's a car, there's other people, there's computers. It's just all sorts of things racing through their mind. Their mind is scattered. Remember, we were talking about being in the past or in the future. Our mind is scattered. And that happens often when we go for a walk. And guess what's happening in the mind of the dog? In the thought bubble of the dog is exactly the picture of the 4 trees on the horizon and the sun on top. That dog is right there, right now, really present, really in the present. And I'm sure those of you who have got pets at home, you have witnessed that they tend to be very, very much in the moment. I have a cat at home. She's permanently alert. And to come back to the story of my son, because he cannot see, he cannot trust the environment. We trust our environment because we see what's going on. But because he cannot see what's going on, he's always highly, highly alert, particularly through listening. He has to. That's the way he gets through life. In that regard, he is the greatest mindfulness teacher. It's beautiful. It's great. So the next time you go for a walk, check out where's my mind. And if you realize, oh, my mind is somewhere else, bring it back to the here and now. It's rejuvenating. Yeah, you can let go of all the stuff that happened in the past and that may or may not happen in the future. Just be here right now and be content. Yeah, don't even make a judgment. This is good or this is bad. Yeah, it's content. Yeah, this is how it is. Full stop. So the question here in that cartoon is, are you mindful or is your mind full? Okay, hang on. So there's another one, a photo that I took some time ago, just going for a walk and just seeing this fern there. Yeah, if you just stop for a moment and have a look at the intricacy of this fern, it's just so strikingly beautiful, which you won't realize unless you stop and you put your mind right into the present. And that is what mindfulness is about. Very often people, when you talk mindfulness, people think about meditation, sitting down for ideally hours of meditation. Yeah, it's a great way of being mindful, no doubt about it. But if you don't have the time to sit down several times a day for a period of time to be mindful, you need to come up with some other things other than sitting down and meditate. So one good way of bringing our mind to the present, to the here and now, is our body. Because our body can only be in the present. We can't have a body in the future, and we can't have a body in the past. Our body is, and it is right now. So it is like an anchor for the present. So if we connect our mind to our body, then by default, we are in the present. So one thing you can do, for example, watch your breathing. If you get angry about something that has happened, your mind is in the past, and you take some deep breath and you observe how the breath goes inside your body and how it comes out again. Maybe you want to even observe which nostril it comes in and which one it goes out. Or do I breathe through the mouth or through the nose? When I exhale, is my breath warmer than when I inhale it? Probably not that relevant here in Australia. There might not be such a big difference. But if you live in Europe and outside temperature is 0 degrees, you feel the breath that's coming out is much warmer than the breath you get in. So observing your breath is a very powerful way to come into the here and now and let go of those things we talked about in the future or in the past. Sound. You can close your eyes and listen to all the sound that is around you. And sound is in the present. You don't hear the sound from the past. You don't hear the sound from the future. You can only hear the sound that is here, right now. Another one is taste. See if you can identify some taste in your mouth. Often people say to me, well, I don't taste anything in my mouth. Well, figure out what does no taste taste like. Yeah. Our taste buds are always active. They're always tasting something. There is no non-taste. Skin sensations. You can feel how your clothes is touching your skin. Yeah. Focus on it, and you will focus in the present. You feel how the legs of your pants are touching your thighs, for example, or the sleeves of your shirt are touching your arms. Body movements and body tensions. If you do something like, for example, you grab your mobile phone to do something on your mobile phone, something we do all the time. When you do, make an effort and see what your fingers are doing. The integrate movements that every single finger is doing in order to handle your telephone. And all these movements are directed from your brain. Amazing. Just watching it. And by watching that, you are by default in the present. Body tensions. It just you feel you can scan your entire body, and I'd like to go through a quick activity doing that in a minute. And you feel there is tension in your body. Body weight distribution is another beautiful one. When you're sitting or when you're standing, just feel where is the weight, how is the weight distributed in your body. When you're standing, are you putting more weight onto the right leg or more weight onto the left leg? Can you feel how the sole of your feet is pressuring into the ground? Even when you sit, is my body weight evenly distributed about across my buttocks, both sides, or am I sitting more on one side or more on another side? If you observe that, you are in the present. So it's not that difficult to be in the present. I need to do a quick time check. Okay, good. Okay, so I'd like to do, let's do the body tensions. Let's do a quick exercise where you just where you sit in your chair, or I don't know what people online are doing. I suppose they are sitting somewhere. Sit straight, don't lounge, but don't sit stiff either, but relax, sit up there and close your eyes if you feel comfortable about it, and start with your feet. Try to sense how the sole of your feet are pressing onto your shoes. Is the weight of the feet the same? And then we move a little bit up to your thighs. Is there any tension in your thighs? If there is, can you just relax the tension in your thighs so they become really floppy? Feel your shoulders. I'm doing a quick scan here. Feel your shoulders. Are your shoulders relaxed? Are you pulling them up? Or are they just relaxed, hanging down? Are there any muscles in your shoulders that you can feel because they are tense? If you can, let them go. Just try to relax these muscles. And then we go a little bit further up into your face. Feel if there's any tension of any sort in the muscles of your face. And if you can feel the tension, just relax these muscles. Try to have a really floppy face where you have no tension in any muscle. Good. And when you're ready for it, just open your eyes again and come back to your computer or back into the room or wherever you are. Now that was about a 30-second exercise. That was not long. I bet you during this exercise you weren't thinking about anything in the past or anything in the future. Am I right? It's a way to come in the here and now and just let everything go. And even if it's only 30 seconds, it's powerful. Yeah, it just takes everything that worries you away. Now, one thing people say they find difficult is that while they're trying to be in the present, their mind keeps racing around it, from future to past, forth and back. And people think meditation is about not thinking at all, to just stop thinking. I reckon that's a skill that takes a long, long, long time to acquire. But what you can do is you can recognize your thoughts, acknowledge them, but not pursue them. Say, okay, there's a thought. I'm thinking about, that milk again that I need to buy, and let it go. Okay, that's that. And then see whether or not another thought comes up. And if another thought comes up, just acknowledge it, but don't pursue it. Just let it be. Okay, yeah, I'm getting angry about blah, blah, blah again. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. That's something that my mind does to me. Yeah, it just, our mind is full of thoughts, which we are difficult to stop. Someone used the analogy the other day, saying the mind is like the sky, and our thoughts are the clouds in the sky. And the challenge is to, recognize the clouds, but don't focus on the clouds. Be in your mind and have the mind right here, right now. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes. 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 So I don't know whether everyone did hear this online. So the comment was made from Gossett office, Port Macquarie office, that just being in nature is always a very good opportunity to be mindful and to really observe what is happening around you. Be right in the moment, right here and now. And I think that's what many people find. It's a good environment. The point is, you don't have to be there. You can. We'll talk about it in a second. So when you come through your mind, it's definitely you want to let go your negative thoughts, acknowledge them. Yes, these are thoughts I have, and move on. Just let them go. But you want to recognize and grow those positive thoughts that you have, those nurturing thoughts, those beneficial thoughts and feeling. You want to hang on to them because they do give you energy. Now, one of the challenge for us is to create moments of mindfulness throughout every day. And a good way of doing it is linking mindfulness activities with routines that we have throughout the day. So where we say, for example, when I get out of my bed, that's a good moment where I can practice 30 seconds mindfulness. Yeah. So I just put my feet out of my bed and I sit on my bed for just 30 seconds and I feel my body. I feel tensions in my body or not tensions in my body. I'm trying to be right here, right now, before I go and start the day. I have a personal mantra too. I keep saying to myself, life is good. If I say that to myself every morning, and I tend to say it to myself too when I'm getting distressed, the bottom line is, well, at least my life is good. And I suggest that, in acknowledging all the challenges that you people have out there in life with your carer job, in the big scheme of things, wow, we're living in Sydney. How good is life here? Yeah, we have food in the fridge. I'm assuming this. Maybe some of you don't, but many of us have a roof over their head. Just think of it. We can open a water tap and hot water runs out. Amazing. How good is life? Yeah. So put it in perspective. Another moment where you can practice mindfulness is in the morning, for example, for those of you who can have breakfast on your own. Try to have breakfast, an entire breakfast, without your mobile phone nearby, switched off. As a matter of fact, don't have a look at your mobile phone until you have finished breakfast. Very difficult to do for many people. Force yourself to do it. Say, this is what I want to do. And you'll be amazed how beautiful breakfast can be. How you can taste the food you are eating. How often are we eating and we're not aware of the taste of what we're eating? Another one is waiting at the red traffic light. That's one of my favorites. Either being in a car waiting for at the red traffic light, or as a pedestrian. As a pedestrian, you have about 30 to 45 seconds until the light gets green, if you just arrive when it turns red. It's a beautiful time to just, relax your whole body. Feel your breathing going in and out. Feel where your body weight is. Do I distribute my body weight evenly onto both feet? And by the time you've done this, the traffic light is green again. So there's opportunities in our busy lives everywhere to just be mindful. During the shower, feel how the water runs down your body. Feel how beautiful it feels to have a hot shower in a cold bathroom. It's bliss. Appreciate it. And feel how the water runs down your body. Why brushing teeth? Brushing teeth is, well, if you do it properly, I think they say 3 minutes or something like that. I don't brush my teeth properly. But I brush my teeth long enough to actually realize what the brushes of my teeth brush, the bristles of my teeth brush are doing to my gum and to my teeth, how that feels. I can feel how the bristles are going in between the gaps between my teeth. If you are mindful, you can feel all these things. And it takes you into your own space, into the right here, right now. Cleaning the dishes in the kitchen. For many people, for those people who do it by hand, but even if you have a dishwasher, you'll be still cleaning things in the kitchen and tidying up. Rather than making this a chore, make this a mindfulness activity. Be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of how your body is moving right now. It takes your mind right into the present rather than having your mind in the future or in the past. Sitting on the train or on the bus. I travel a lot on the bus. Public transport is the solution for me here in Sydney. And I observe in the bus there'll be at least 9 out of 10 people sitting on their gadget in the bus with their mind somewhere else. Being on the telephone may mean you are in the present, but you are in another place. So instead of looking at your telephone, and some people do some really mindless kind of things. They play games on their telephone because they're bored in the bus. It's a brilliant opportunity to observe yourself, to see yourself in the bus, to be really alert. I had that experience this morning coming down Spit Bridge in really big traffic in the bus and going across the Spit Bridge, which was a real hassle and battle and busy, and left and right this tranquility full of peace of Sydney Harbour, with all the yachts there, no wind, and just so peaceful among all this business. Beautiful to experience, mindfulness experience. Walking to the shops, or walking to work, walk mindfully rather than being with your mind all over like that person that goes for a walk with the dog. Just be in the here and now. Waiting for the kettle to boil, and I mean that symbolically. Whenever we wait for something, waiting for the printer to come and print out the stuff you send to the printer or something like that. Brilliant opportunity to be mindful. So you look for the positive things that are happening around you, and it's the tiny little experiences that we have around us that are really positive, that help us to live a good life. Happiness is not something big we achieve in the future. Happiness is all the tiny little things that happen around right now while we are alive. Here's another photo from a walk that's from freshwater to South Coco, there's a little coastal walk, which I've done the other day. And yeah, do I need to use words? Yeah, how beautiful is life? Yeah, it's all there. How many people are walking along this track and don't see these flowers? So opportunities everywhere, and you don't have to live by the coast. Yeah, I'm sure if you live in the mountains, you have similar kind of opportunities, and even if you live in suburbia, yeah, there's beauty everywhere if we're willing to see it. Okay, now we come to the so what part. So altogether, to sum it up, it's a good idea to recognize how powerful mindfulness is. And no doubt, the more of it you can practice, the more powerful it is. You don't have to spend hours on mindfulness every day, even if you can have little spells of not even a minute, yeah, and just gradually increase it. Try to figure out what is a routine, something that happens to you every day, which you can link mindfulness activity to. Like we talked about, brushing teeth, waiting at traffic lights. So, everyone lives a different life and everyone has different opportunity. Be aware of what these opportunities are and get into the habit. So every time you brush your teeth, or every time you stand at the traffic light, or every time you're waiting for the lift to arrive, you practice mindfulness. You become really aware of your body. It's another one, a beautiful one is when you go up or down with the lift in a tall building. For those people who live in the city, that sensation of this lift accelerating upwards. What does that do to your body? And a good way to get started is really to start with really short spurts of mindfulness and gradually increase these. Going from 30 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes. And you will realize the more often you do it, the more you'll miss it in the end when you don't do it, because you build a habit. I'd like to give one hint away. I'm not in the business of doing advertising for people, really. But I must say this man, Rick Hansen, is very, very, I guess, articulate. He's an expert in the field, and he has a very good way of describing mindfulness with his words. And he's got a website, and you can subscribe to a blog there, to a newsletter, and you'll receive once a week a newsletter that is truly inspiring. Yeah, some really good thoughts about mindfulness and how we use our brain. He's got books for sale too, and he's American, so his mindset may be slightly different to ours. But remember, okay, hang on. There is at the bottom there is rickhansen.net is his email address. So keep applying that concept. Don't accept, don't reject. Consider, put it to the test, and I'm sure you find lots of goodies in that newsletter. Do we have about 3 or 4 minutes for some questions that are coming? Yes. So can I invite people on the net to forward their questions if they have any, and also here in the room, any questions about what we've talked about? Is there anything coming from the web? Okay. I guess it's not rocket science, and that's what I'm trying to get across. Mindfulness is a big word out there these days. Everyone is talking about it, and everyone kind of senses the relevance of it. but it seems to be so inaccessible to people who never thought about it and people who have no time in life, in inverted commas, and therefore they dismiss it. I hope I've come across with the point that mindfulness is for everyone. It's not rocket science. We all can do it, and you don't have to have oodles of time in order to practice it. Okay, I'll move on then if there's no questions coming. So once again, reminding you, don't reject, don't accept. Consider, put ideas to the test. And with that in mind, I'd like to put forward to you the idea of taking today's session somewhere. So rather than thinking, oh, this was an interesting session, and we, oops, okay, good. So do something with it. And typically, we want to do something, and like New Year's Eve, we have all those plans of what we're doing differently, and nothing happens after. One of the reasons usually is that we don't have a plan for it. So I dare you to set a plan, and that is the second last page of your handout. There is a plan there, and I dare you to make a plan that says by, and you put in a date that can be by tonight or by tomorrow. It's probably good, as you want to have it recent, so it's still in your mind. I develop a routine of mindfulness for the next 2 weeks. And that is your consider bit. And after that, you can accept it or reject it. It's like eating broccoli. Yeah. So have a bit of broccoli and then make your judgment. Have a go of 2 weeks, and that's about how much it takes in order to get a routine started daily, so that you start getting the benefits from mindfulness. So the action steps would be, the first action steps would be identify 1 or 2 times or events in every day where you can spend at least 30 seconds for mindfulness. We talked about some of these before, like brushing teeth, standing in the shower, or whatever. Yeah. And then set the goal for every day to be 30 seconds mindful at that moment that you have identified as your anchor. Yeah. If we don't have an anchor, we tend to forget because we're so busy in life. But if we associate teeth brushing with mindfulness, or we associate having a shower with mindfulness, then we are more likely to remember. If it is for you, say, brushing teeth, it might be a good idea to hang up your plan, put it in writing, in handwriting. Don't do it on a computer. Do it in handwriting. It's much more powerful in our brain. Stick it on your bathroom mirror. And every time you've done your 30-second mindfulness, you just put a tick in there. And you'll end up doing it for 2 weeks. And then you reconsider and you find out, something in it for me. I want to further pursue this. Or you think, well, I had a try at it. It just, at this stage, it's not right. I might need to do something more, or I decide to not do anything else about it. And that's really all I wanted to talk about today. It's a tiny, tiny little snippet of what we can do to live a better life, what we can change in order to get more out of life. If you want to know more about it, I don't know whether Synapse is putting more on. We'll start rolling out courses, 6 to 8 week courses, depending on what people want, where we go into much more depth of this and cover more areas. We'll be talking a lot about change and dealing with change and solving problems and how our mind works, what is triggering, good feelings or triggering bad feelings, and so forth. So thank you very much for making the time coming here. Thank you. Thank you, everyone online, for spending the time, and I'll pass this piece of jewelry on.
Thank you so very much. That was wonderful, and I was hoping. I know that there weren't perhaps many questions, but was there anything that you wanted to? We've just had one of our carers here comment on the link between how important this is for our health, physical health, and also mental health in terms of depression, and how important it is to try and be mindful when walking in nature, not walking on the treadmill, but getting out and experiencing that. And we also had the group in Port Macquarie comment about how important getting out in the fresh air and greenery was. And also one of the things that Megan had commented on was the simplicity of those techniques that you talked about. It's not sitting cross-legged in a silent room. It's you're waiting at a pedestrian crossing, as we all do most days, instead of bouncing on your toes, banging on it, just stopping, concentrating on that breath. Concentrating, what I loved was on the non-taste. There isn't one. What is it that's in my mouth? Just taking that chance to stop and reflect. The Port Macquarie group also commented that the plan at the end was a really powerful tool. That it's very easy for people to sit and listen to something like this and then go, "Yep, great, off I go." But having that to write it down, to handwrite it, and to think about it is going to really prompt people. And I know, Lars, that you said in the groups that you run, you recommend that you have a commitment to another person. So in the week between one session and the next, that you actually have agreed with someone else to check in. How are you going with that mindfulness when you're brushing your teeth each day, twice a day for 2 minutes? How are you going with that? And having that commitment is what helps us continue as a motivator. And the other thing that the Port Macquarie group commented on was your words of ancient wisdom. Don't reject, don't accept, consider. And that was very, very powerful. So we've just had another comment around, I guess, Western society's focus on the negatives, the suffering, the challenges, the complexities, rather than what Lars was talking about, that the beauty in simple things, walking along the foreshore, walking through suburbia and stopping to literally smell the roses, or and it is something that I think we do. We do lose our perspective sometimes, and those small acts of mindfulness of when you are on that walk, not on the treadmill, out in the green nature and blue skies, or even in the rain, being aware of the feeling of the wind on your skin, and the breathing. Are you breathing through your nose, through your mouth, looking at what's around you? It's a challenge for us to accept it. Yeah. So we just had someone linking some of the concepts from today to our last session on relationships, and finding novelty and love in the here and now in the relationship that we have, rather than searching for it elsewhere. And because that's the way to keep the love in that relationship and to nurture. That was what Jenny was talking about last time, nurturing and maintaining those relationships. Yes. So we might finish up if everyone's happy with all of that. Thank you again, Lars. Thank you so very much. Thank you to people for tuning in and for putting up with my technical lack of know-how, and hopefully it's all worked really well. And we look forward to the next session, which will be, oh goodness, I think it's the 7th of May, but we'll be sending out a newsletter. It's a Tuesday, and that will be delivered by Gemma Millard, who's our Family Liaison Officer up in Port Macquarie. And she's also a carer of a person with brain injury, and she's going to be talking about navigating the system. So next time here in Parramatta, we'll be on the other end, receiving it via the video link, and Gemma will be delivering it in Parramatta. So thank you very much, and we're going to sign off now. Thank you.